a lot of sense. I figure if you're doing life coaching, you don't use just one tool. You have to use all the tools in the shed.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Because when I first met you, it was a metaphysical fair.
Mm-hmm.
There was a ton of people there that had quote unquote gifts.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those people did not have gifts. I'm sorry, but they didn't. Some of those people were just negative as anything. I mean, the minute we walked in the room, it felt negative. I don't know about you, but I did not feel welcome by everyone at that metaphysical fair.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if for you, if you walk into a place and you feel the same sort of thing.
I do. And that has its good and its bad points. And, I will concur 100% that, there are folks out there that I have this philosophy of just because you take a class in something does not entitle you to teach it. And that is becoming, and I see people that I have, coached and mentored over the years. I've seen that happen. And, for me, when I work with people and I write, I also teach, I teach spirituality here in Kansas City. And most of my students are with me anywhere from 2 years up to 5. And, they do the work and I do the work along with them. And, one of the things that I always tell people is that you have to, like anything you have to do, you have to hone your craft. And that means before you even lay your hands on, a complete stranger, cut your teeth, find people who, your friends or family or, come work with people who know that you're a student and are, and that they are willing to work with you at that level, and then turn yourself loose. I see there are, a lot of times here when, and that goes the same for folks who are, so many people are intimidated by spirituality. And my goal, and like you said, when I remember that session, believe it or not, several years ago when you and I met at Casey Metaphysical. And, a lot of people, because of my presence, I'm very confident, I'm very strong as far as my personality goes. But the confidence that I have and the knowing that I have is hard won. I have spent from the time I was 17 years old working on myself, turning myself inside out, upside down, and 5 sides of Sunday to get where I'm at. And I'm a continual work in progress. And, I walk into certain places and I can tell you, when being in a relationship with me is, most men cannot get away with anything. And, both my ex-husbands will tell you that. And, but at the same time, if I walk into a place, there have been times that I have said, excuse my French, oh, hell no, and turned around and walked right out. And I've gotten to the place now to where I really didn't learn the word no until I was in my late 20s. And now what I tell people is no is a beautiful word. And I've gotten to the place in my life to where if I don't want to do something, I will not do it. But I also don't feel like I need to give you the reasons as to why I'm telling you no. My answer should be strong. Right. My answer should be clear enough. But I mean, to give you an idea, and it is sometimes, it can be really difficult, to have these abilities. You know this, you and I have had this discussion before of, having these abilities, it does have its downside. I mean, I can put my hands on somebody, and within 3 seconds, I'll know if I like you or not. I know if I trust you or not. Some people's energies and mine, they just don't mix. And it doesn't mean, that there's a problem per se. It just means that, it's just not compatible. And so, there's a double-edged sword to everything. But I tend to, for me, I don't want my clients walking away with a bad experience. I get a lot of the joking of, hey, can you tell me when I'm going to die kind of thing. The people that are uneducated, right? And I really take my role seriously. And I really want people to walk away with feeling like they've talked to somebody, number one, where they feel heard, they feel validated. And I've given them, either a new tool, help them to see look at a situation through a different lens, maybe giving them some closure and, help them on some level. And you can tell when that happens with people. People come to me. I mean, I have God bless my clients. I have some of the most loyal clients I could ever imagine. Folks have been with me for 25 years. But everybody says the one thing that keeps people coming back, year after year, or they trust me to, be a sacred witness for them repeatedly, is that, I'm real, I'm genuine, I don't BS. And, I'm very real. I use salty language, as you know. We've had that discussion. We share a love of whiskey as well. And, I'm just very down home. My family's from Southeast Missouri. And, both of my parents were entrepreneurs. And my father, my daddy was my biggest influence in my life, aside from my grandma Joel, who raised me. And, but I was always taught, people treat you where they meet you. And you always treat people the way you would want to be treated. And I take that to heart very seriously. And so that kind of, I think, makes me different. I don't put myself above anybody else.
That's the way to be. Perfect way to be. I said that's the perfect way to be.
Yeah, I'm one of these people. My teacher, I worked with a lady here in Kansas City. Her name was Esther Harden. And Esther's been gone for a number of years. But I met her when I was 18 years old. And she came to my house, my mom's house. My mom was having a psychic party. And Miss Esther came into the house. And my mom had a room full of ladies, Sunday afternoon. They were all getting readings and drinking wine. And I had been out, and I came into the house, and I walked into the kitchen. My grandma was sitting there with my mom, and Miss Esther was sitting next to Mommy. And Miss Esther stood up and she said, "I have been waiting. I've seen you. I have been waiting for you, and you're going to work with me." And at that point, it was on. But she was very, very blunt, and I was very fortunate that, I was well protected, if that makes sense. But I am not one of these people that puts myself up in a tower. I manage that way in my business life as well. I mean, my staff will tell you that I do not ask them to do anything I wouldn't do. As a business leader, when you have people that want to follow you from organization to organization, that says something. And so yes, I look at it this way. If it comes to a point that I think I'm too good to do something, I need to get out of doing this work, period. Call it a day, be done, retire.
Yep, I agree. We've got about a minute until we have to go on break. So I'm going to ask you this question. It's from Kat in the chat room. She says, do you have to touch someone when you're with them to read them?
No.
I could have answered that for you, but I don't remember you touching me when you read the tarot cards for me. So,
well, I don't have to touch anybody to read them, and sometimes, you know, I use that to my advantage, especially for folks, you know, who are kind of the non-believer and come in and or the folks that are, you know, the skeptic, and they're like, well, you know, show me what you can do, and I can just pick their brain, and then, you know, as I lovingly say, I drop kick them, you know, and read them like a book. That freaks people out a little bit. I don't do that very often, but I've been known to at times, just to, you know, if somebody gets too big for the britches sometimes. I've been known to do that, but I don't come at it in a mean-spirited way. I really do it more for the shock value, to get my point across to them that, you know, I respect what you believe, and, you know, I'm not asking you to, you know, have to give total respect to me, but I'm also asking you not to make fun of it. And so that's kind of my way of going, you know, boom. But many of my friends will tell you they all have Shea stories about, you know, times that I've shocked people sometimes, and so it can get entertaining sometimes doing this work.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna ask you some of those questions when we get back. So we've got a break here. You guys got 2 minutes. Go get a drink, some hot chocolate, maybe plug in the space heater, and we'll see you guys here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, in 2 minutes. And come on back now.
Simon.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm Denise Pridemore, your host, and I'm here with Shea Moyers. And it's I ran off. I'm sorry. I made it back, as Kat was saying. 4, 3. Telling the people how to make dinner in the kitchen. So, but I made it. So, you were talking, Shea, before we went on break, you were talking about Shea stories. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. What was one of the most amazing stories that you have?
Oh God. Wow. There's a lot. I really think one of the most amazing experiences that, you know, I've ever done. I do also do paranormal investigation. I have my own team, and a lot of times we get, you know, I get calls from people wanting me to come out and investigate their house or clear it. And one of the